Dan, how would you characterize the media's posture towards covering Joe Biden right this minute?
Uh, they are not asking the right questions at this point. I think I mean, they're still a little bit held up on like the reelection and should he have gotten out sooner. I think the real question now is should Joe Biden still have been president the last 2 years? And certainly that last year. And did he have cancer on top of the mental acuity decline? Because if he was receiving, chemo or hormone therapy or that is hard for a healthy, really strong person to function. Most companies would put a CEO on leave during that time. Jamie Dimon left when he was being treated for cancer. It is hard to fathom that Joe Biden did not potentially have this while in office, and we need answers. We just
Yeah.
the country deserves it.
Larry, and of course the media would have to, if they were doing a full appraisal, would have to look at their own failure to cover that issue of
Totally.
whether he should have been in. Larry, it's testament to the impact that all this has had on Joe Biden's image and his staff's image. And I'm talking about the Her audio, I'm talking about the Tapper
Yeah.
Thompson book, I'm talking about the timing of the cancer disclosure that
Yeah.
a lot of Democrats who hate Donald Trump and love Joe Biden have said to me what Dan just suggested, which was they think there's a good possibility he was being secretly treated for cancer as president.
Yeah. And to answer your question, that those are the questions the media should be asking. A couple of them have, but they should be talking to doctors. They should be talking to experts like our mutual friend Megan Kelly yesterday, and I had him on today. One of the foremost prostate cancer specialists is David Samadi. During my interview this morning on WMAL, he said, based on every indication, this sounds like he's had this for years. And apparently the appropriate treatment is the hormone treatment, right?
Yeah.
Uh, he told me, Dr. Samadi did, that one of the major side effects of that hormone treatment for this kind of cancer is memory loss and cognitive problems.
And
So
exhaustion.
Yeah.
exactly the symptoms that he had
Yeah.
been displaying for the last several years.
I don't know that I'm the first to say this, but I haven't heard too many people say it, or anybody say it, I should say. When they put out their statement, it should have included for their own good and the good of the country and the good of our democracy and our institutions. They should have said, here's the president's history of PSA tests,
Yeah.
right? They should have said that, and they should make his doctor available to give the country a full briefing, taking questions not from political reporters, but from medical reporters.
Hmm.
What was the history of the president's screening for and treatment of cancer? Because until they're forthcoming, and they're the only ones who can answer the question, people are going to doubt this. And it's not about not covering Donald Trump, as I say before. It's about having the credibility to cover Donald Trump and everything else when with a failure to cover Joe Biden's health in the White House.
That's right.
It's just staggering,
Yeah.
staggering. Dan.
Well,
Well,
and
and I think the one difference is because you see the Biden playbook here. No transparency. Nobody is being put available, not like the Biden family, not senior staff. No one will go on the record to kind of advocate anything more.
Right.
In the past, the party and the media would cover for them, right? They could kind of iron
Right.
grip down.
Yes.
Now the media is kind of wobbly. The party is completely turning on them in private and some of them in public. So it'd be interesting to see how much longer this defense can hold because the
Right.
pillars around them are getting kind of
Right.
under.
And Larry, before you get in, I just want to make the point a little bit finer than I did because Dan spurred me to clarify what I mean. The president, any president who has a health issue, it's going to be able to focus the public on public health education. There's all these men out there who don't get tested, right? And should. And so for him to say, well, I got the best health care in the world and this thing snuck up on me, it's like, it's not right. They need
yeah.
to explain his medical history that led to this moment because I'd say there's 2% of doctors that I've talked to or heard who have held open the possibility that this happened without any prior testing or understanding. The chances of it are so low, it doesn't make any sense. And they're now creating confusion in the public's mind about Joe Biden's credibility, but also about public health on an issue where we need public health education. Larry, sorry.
I agree. In fact, I think it's irresponsible. This messaging out there is, oh, it's no big deal that he just to
Right.
forego the PSA test, but it's no big deal. They're taking blood out for all the other tests. Just check the PSA as well. Why would you send a message now that you don't need to, or you can forego the PSA test? It's completely irresponsible. And again, sadly, we've seen this pattern of behavior of politicizing science and politicizing medical treatment.
Yep.
And also, and not to revisit our conversation from Friday, which was lively. But after the her video or the audio, I should say, and this new revelation, is it not again, incumbent on the former staff members of the Biden administration. I'm talking about Karine Jean-Pierre. I'm talking about the chief of staff. I'm talking about Jake Sullivan and Antony Blinken and Kamala Harris, who interacted with him every day, to answer questions about what happened in that building and in the executive branch of government when Joe Biden didn't have a good day.
Yes, sir.
That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.